Welcome to today's Catholic Daily Readings from Christus Dominus Bread of Life. A reading from the book of Judges. And the sons of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and they served the Baals. And they abandoned the Lord, the God of their fathers, who had led them away from the land of Egypt. And they followed foreign gods and the gods of the peoples who were living around them, and they adored them, and they provoked the Lord to anger, abandoning him and serving Baal and Ashtaroth. And the Lord, having become angry against Israel, delivered them into the hands of plunderers, who seized them and sold them to the enemies that were living on all sides. Neither were they able to withstand their adversaries. Instead, wherever they wanted to go, the hand of the Lord was upon them, just as he said and just as he swore to them. And they were greatly afflicted. And the Lord raised up judges, who would free them from the hands of those who plundered them. But they were not willing to listen to them. Fornicating with foreign gods and adoring them, they quickly deserted the way along which their fathers had advanced. And having heard the commandments of the Lord, they did all things to the contrary. And when the Lord raised up judges for their tribes, the Lord was with the judge, and he saved them from the hand of their enemies during all the days of the judge. For the Lord took pity on them at their groaning, because of those who were oppressing and afflicting them. But after the judge was dead, they returned and did much worse things than their fathers had done, following foreign gods, serving them, and adoring them. They did not abandon their pursuits and their very stubborn way.
Remember us, O Lord, as you favor your people. They did not exterminate the peoples as the Lord had commanded them, but mingled with the nations and learned their works. Remember us, O Lord, as you favor your people.
They served their idols, which became a snare for them. They sacrificed their sons and their daughters to demons.
Remember us, O Lord, as you favor your people. They became defiled by their works and wanton in their crimes. And the Lord grew angry with his people and abhorred his inheritance. Remember us, O Lord, as you favor your people.
Many times did he rescue them, but they embittered him with their counsels. Yet he had regards for their affliction
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. And behold, someone approached and said to him, Good teacher, what good must I do so that I may have eternal life? And he said to him, Why do you question me about what is good? One is good, God. But if you wish to enter into life, keep the commandments. He said to him, Which ones? And Jesus said, You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony. Honor your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, All these I have kept from my youth. What is still lacking for me? Jesus said to him, If you wish to be perfect, go, sell what you have and give to the poor, and then you will have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me. But when the young man heard this word, he went away sad, for he had many possessions. Join us for today's reflection. You're scrolling through social media when you see it. Another friend posting about their amazing new house, their dream vacation, their promotion. You tap like and write, so happy for you. But inside something twists. Not jealousy exactly, but something deeper. A quiet voice asking, When did everyone else figure out how to have it all while still being good people? The rich young man in today's gospel thought he had cracked that code. He had kept all the commandments since his youth. He was religiously observant, morally upright, and financially successful. In his mind, he was living proof that you could serve God and prosper. So when he approached Jesus asking what else he needed for eternal life, he probably expected a pat on the back and maybe a few advanced spiritual tips. Instead, Jesus looked at him with love and destroyed his entire worldview with 7 words. Go, sell what you have, and give. This wasn't a random test. Jesus saw exactly what was preventing this young man from following him completely, the illusion that he could have God and keep everything else too. The problem wasn't his wealth, it was his attachment to wealth as security, identity, and proof of God's blessing. The book of Judges shows us how this pattern repeats throughout history. The Israelites would prosper, forget the source of their blessings, start worshiping the gods of their neighbors, and fall into oppression. Then they'd cry out to God, he'd rescue them, and the cycle would begin again. Prosperity became their spiritual poison because it made them feel independent from the one who gave them everything. The psalm captures this perfectly. They mingled with the nations and learned their works. The Israelites didn't abandon God outright. They added other gods to their portfolio. They diversified their spiritual investments. They wanted the security of multiple options, just like we do. That's exactly what the rich young man was trying to do. He wanted to add Jesus to his collection of good things rather than making Jesus his only thing. When Jesus demanded total commitment, the man went away sad because he realized he couldn't afford the cost of discipleship. But here's the twist. He actually couldn't afford not to pay it. Think about what Jesus was really offering. This young man had wealth that could disappear in a market crash, possessions that could be stolen or destroyed, and a reputation that could be ruined by scandal. Jesus was offering him treasure in heaven that could never be lost, a relationship that could never be broken, and an identity that could never be taken away. The man walked away from the greatest deal in history because he couldn't see past what he'd have to give up to notice what he'd gain. This is our struggle too. We live in a culture that promises we can have it all: financial success and spiritual depth, material abundance and prophetic authenticity, comfortable lives and costly discipleship. We want to be people of faith who also happen to be successful, rather than successful people who happen to have faith. But Jesus exposes that compromise as impossible, not because he's against prosperity, but because he knows that divided loyalties always serve the wrong master. When we try to serve God while keeping all our other security systems in place, we end up serving those security systems and using God as a backup plan. The rich young man's sadness reveals the truth about his spiritual condition. If he truly believed that God was his ultimate treasure, he would have been excited about the chance to trade temporary wealth for eternal riches. His sadness proved that his heart was with his possessions, not with God. The Israelites learned the same painful lesson over and over. Every time they tried to hedge their bets by worshiping other gods alongside the true God, they lost everything. The very things they thought would provide extra security became the source of their downfall. Jesus isn't asking us to be poor, he's asking us to be free. Free from the anxiety that comes with depending on things that can be lost. Free from the exhaustion of trying to serve multiple masters. Free from the illusion that we can control our own security and destiny. The question isn't whether you have possessions, but whether your possessions have you. The question isn't whether you're successful, but whether your success has become your identity. The question isn't whether you're blessed, but whether your blessings have become your God. That young man walked away sad, but the story doesn't end there. He could have come back. He could have realized that what Jesus was asking would cost him everything temporary to give him everything eternal. The invitation is still open to all of us who are tired of trying to serve God and money, who are ready to discover that we can't afford not to give Jesus everything.